So I want to talk a little bit about smartphones and how smartphones changed my life and changed the world a lot. Much more than any of these individual technologies, like for example, the internet. You can say that it provided the sort of basis for smartphones, and of course it did. And then you can even say that mobile phones changed the world. But and of course that's true too. But I think that the sort of smartphones revolutionized communications in a way more than those two technologies on their own ever could have. So first I want to talk a little bit about how I used phones when I was younger. So of course we had mobile phones when I was younger. I got my first phone when I was like, I don't know, maybe I was like 11 or 12 or something like that. But we just like played some games with them and called each other, and me and my friends called each other and stuff like that. But and sent text messages, etc. No one really used internet on their phones back then. First of all, because it was super slow, and second of all, because it cost a lot to use the internet, and the browser software on the phones was terrible. So there wasn't really much of an incentive to use the internet on your phone, and there weren't really many sites or services that were geared towards mobile devices to begin with. So that was back in early 2000s, and then when I was like 18, 19, 20, something like that, smartphones started appearing everywhere, and the way you used the smartphone was totally different. Like most of the things that you did on your mobile phone used to be like just the traditional things: calling, texting, etc. Maybe sending on like a multimedia message or something like that. But generally speaking, that's how you use your phone prior to smartphones. Now, smartphones brought the internet to a lot more people than previously. So let's talk a little bit about how I used internet when I was younger. So I basically used internet only on my computer. And but I did use internet a lot because I was like a bit of a digital kid. But I mean, I was an odd kid that way. But I used internet quite a bit, and some of my friends did it too. And but we all used it on our computers or laptops or whatever. And we visited various forums and all these interesting sites. Especially relating to like computer games and stuff like that. So, and that's how we use the internet, and of course to sell and buy stuff and stuff like that, things like that. I remember buying like some PlayStation games and stuff like that. So, from various people like online and like this platforms and stuff like that. But that's not so. That's not really. That's how I used computers and the internet when I was younger. But I noticed that a lot of girls didn't really use it. They used their phone a lot. They like called and texted a lot and stuff like that. But they weren't really using the internet much. At least not nearly as much as the boys were. And smartphones changed that. I genuinely think that these days both boys and girls pretty much, at least in like Europe, etc., use the internet just as much. Maybe girls even use it more now with like social media and Instagram and all this type of services. And smartphones were really the start of this sort of big change in gaming too, because there's like a lot of games nowadays that are geared towards women and girls, and that wasn't really so much. I think now there were like, of course, there were games that were more like suited for women, etc. But because women used back in the day, women used computers way less than men, and of course girls use it way less than boys, just and so there were very few games that were actually geared towards women. Now there's like tons of games, especially mobile games, that are geared specifically towards women, or with the sort of design that appeals specifically to women. And that wasn't really a thing. That wasn't really, or if it was so small a thing that I didn't really even notice it. And so smartphones totally changed that. They totally changed the dynamic where men were the ones who were using these internet services, and they were using them on their desktop computers, etc. And they sort of brought internet to a much wider audience than previously with this smartphone revolution, and women in particular. And in some ways, I see women using these smartphones and therefore the internet, which is a key component of using a smartphone, even more than guys now. And it's quite interesting, but it's also like a huge change in the world. I think like women in general have been, since the advent of mobile devices, have been more drawn towards those than desktop computers and stuff like that. And so this is one of the biggest changes that I've sort of had to deal with. And of course, a key component that makes a smartphone different from like a normal mobile phone that used to exist before smartphones. And I mean, of course, they still exist, but most people want a smartphone. So it's the internet connectivity, and the easy access to all sorts of mobile services on the internet. So that's like the key component that makes it different from. It's optimized for using the internet with, and it did change a lot the sort of internet experience of people who had gotten used to the sort of previous way of doing things, because now on a lot of these sites you see a lot of more people than before, like making all these letting people know about what they think and stuff like that. So it brought a lot more democracy to the internet, and it's both a good and a bad thing. So first of all, I'd like to say it's a good thing because now people are using the most effective means of communication that we have much more. But it's also a bad thing because now that the reach of the internet is so much wider, there's all these platforms that feel the need to sort of police their content way more. So that makes it much like that makes using these, like, let's say, mainstream services, a lot of the services that we're familiar with from even a while back, and even like Google and YouTube and all these social media services. I don't want to list those, but everyone knows what I'm talking about. All the big sort of big tech giants and the services that they provide. Those. I'm not gonna list them, but it makes those like less appealing and sort of less welcoming to the people who were using the internet prior to the smartphone sort of revolution. And the reason for that is that when you were used to talking with people on the internet in a much more like insular circles, and now that there's a much wider reach for what you're saying on these platforms, they feel the need to police the content, police what you're saying way more. So there's this sort of censorship that wasn't really present in the early internet, and the thing that has brought it forward is the sort of this smartphone mobile revolution, which increased the scale of the internet, and particularly people who can use the internet so much. And another thing, of course, which has changed is like I should say on a more personal level, it's a sort of dating scene, etc. So it's much more on the mobile devices now. You basically have all these apps that sort of match you up with people, sometimes in like your country or whatever city you're in, etc. So that was a thing, of course, before, but it used to be like this, more like these big sites, etc., where you try to meet people, etc. And now it's all like basically all the most popular ones are these mobile services, and you can even like record videos of yourself doing stuff, and then show that to people, and if they think it's funny or nice or whatever, then they contact you and so on. So that's another big change. And I think overall the smartphones have changed the world more than either the internet or the mobile devices on itself could have, because it's sort of the combination of the two, the sort of internet services and then mobile devices optimized for those services that has created the current context that we are operating in. And it's much bigger than any single sort of any other single technology or any other single service. It's the combination of these two major paradigms that created sort of the current context. And I just wanted to like ponder that a little bit on this video, because I think I think when I look back, that's the thing that changed things the most. Like I've lived through sort of the internet revolution, I've lived through the mobile device revolution, and then I lived through the smartphone revolution. And it's the smartphone revolution that's changed things the most, like by far the most. And now even like when you use your bank accounts and stuff, you usually have to authenticate it with your mobile device, and of course that's only possible because it's constantly connected to the internet. So even that sort of thing has like totally changed in the last some couple of years after the smartphone revolution. Let's say in the decade after the smartphone revolution, this is a thing that has totally changed too. And I don't know if it's a positive thing. Personally, I think there's like a lot of negatives in it too. So, but I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Thanks.